We're on. I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's public meeting. We will begin this meeting with the land acknowledgement by acknowledging that we are gathering on land that has been inhabited by Indigenous people since time immemorial. We would like to recognize that we are in the Robinson Superior Treaty territory, and the land on which we are gathered today is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe. Specifically, we acknowledge the neighboring community of Mishpekautan First Nation, for whom we have great respect. We also recognize the contributions of all Indigenous peoples, including the Métis, in shaping and strengthening the community and province of Ontario. Moving on to item number 2, approval of agenda. Do I need a mover and a seconder?
Resolution moved by Councillor Hatfield, seconded by Councillor Cannon. Resolved that the agenda for the public meeting scheduled for Tuesday, March 18th, 2025 be approved as presented.
All in favor? Moving on to item number 3, declaration of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. None. Moving on to item number 4, announcements. There are none. We will move on to item number 5, new business. And this is a public meeting as required under sections 17 and 34 of the Ontario Planning Act to consider a proposed zoning bylaw amendments to permit more than one dwelling unit in the upper floors of buildings located in the general commercial C1 zone. I would ask Kevin Sabmarin to summarize the application and speak to the staff report and recommendation.
Thank you very much. This report is about downtown commercial zoning amendment. Currently, land use planning documents restrict the development of additional residential units in the commercial C1 zone located along Broadway Avenue. Under the official plan, although the plan is outdated and over 15 years old, it does appear that the official plan does encourage residential development in commercial C1 zone. Under the zoning bylaw, this section, properties within the downtown area are primarily zoned general commercial, which permits a wide range of commercial uses. Further, the zoning bylaw states that apartment dwelling unit accessory to commercial use is on the second floor and is extended only to one unit. The restricted housing units to one per commercial building, along with requirements that exceed the current Ontario Building Code for size. The provincial policy statement came into effect in October of 2024. There are a number of policies throughout the statement that direct that the municipalities must do everything possible to encourage new housing development. The Downtown Community Improvement Plan. The goals of the WAWA plan are to encourage the development and redevelopment of municipality and privately owned vacant and underutilized land and buildings, including the provisions for additional housing units. The WAWA Housing Action Plan. Council has identified that the housing plan pledged that supporting a wide range of new housing development is a priority. As stated in the housing plan, Council committed to strive to ensure its policies and procedures are in place to encourage and promote innovative housing development and directives which will promote housing maintenance. Currently, we have no comments for or against have been received on the application. Staff recommend proceeding with the C1 rezoning bylaw as follows. Remove all other zoning requirements set out in section 4.4 accessory dwellings that would restrict residential units in the commercial C1 zone, including minimum and maximum floor area sizes and window open locations. That no restrictions be set out on the maximum number of residential dwelling units to be built on upper story levels.
Thank you. And Manuela, has any correspondence been received?
No, we have not received any correspondence.
Okay. So now I will ask for any comments from the public. If anyone has any questions?
Is there any bylaws pertaining to parking for these
Under the zoning bylaw, there is a section for parking and the number of spaces that are required for the units that are in the building. So each zone is different, or the type of occupancy of the building will determine the number of spaces that are required.
Are there any other questions?
Points of egress, exit, fire exits, proximity to lot lines, setbacks. Are these pertaining to the building or what's happening there? Where are they going to be? Like, is there a minimum, maximum they have to be set away?
So yes, there is setbacks for side lot, rear lot, and front. Currently, the exits should be to the rear of the structure, but I have to have a set of plans to determine. But the current zoning bylaw says that they have to be to the rear side.
Yeah. That's fine.
Councillor Hoffman.
Does that answer your question?
When you have a plan, I guess I'll want to see it if that's possible.
We can have that conversation at that time, sure.
Perfect. That I'd appreciate.
We have a question from the mayor. Or
Councillor
statement.
Hoffman, I just wanted to make a note that the microphone is not working. So for any questions coming from the gallery, if Kevin can reiterate them for those on Zoom, or if we can get the gallery.
Ellie, are you on mute?
No, I'm not.
Mayor Pilon, if you could type your question in the chat, I can read it out.
Can you hear me?
Like, what's all that?
Testing, 1, 2.
Melanie, can you hear us now?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
No.
Please continue.
No, I'm asking the mayor if she has a question. Yeah? Okay. Do we have a question from Counselor Hatfield?
Yes, I'm probably the only counselor here that doesn't really understand it. So Kevin, we that people that own businesses downtown now build on the bottom, also the top? I thought the bottom was commercial and top is where they could build.
Right now, accessory dwelling units can only be on the second floor or higher, can't be on the main floor.
So we're going for just the top.
At this point, yes.
Okay, that's what I understood. And, that's fine. I think I understand everything. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Okay, seeing none, council will consider all comments received in the staff report on the proposed zoning bylaw amendment. A bylaw will be placed on this evening's regular council meeting regarding the matter for council approval. If approved, there would be a required 20-day appeal period. This meeting is now over. I ask the deputy clerk to read the resolution to close the meeting.
Moved by Counselor Hatfield, resolved that this meeting close at 6:41 PM.
All in favor? Approved. Okay, I think we will now move on to the committee of the whole meeting. And this item number 2, disclosure of pecuniary interest. Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 3, approval of the agenda. And do we need a resolution? It's verbal? You will move? And Kathy seconds. All in favor? Okay. Item number 4, delegations and presentations. There are none. Item number 5, adoption of minutes. And again, is there a resolution or is it just verbal? Okay. All in. Joseph seconder, Kathy for whatever. All in favor? Okay, item number 6, been nothing rising out of the previous meeting. Monthly reports. We have volume. And any questions?
I have a couple. Do you want to go ahead first, Kathy?
I have a couple, but first off, I'd like to possibly amend 7.4, Alex's report, and defer it to the next meeting, as I personally have a couple of questions that I'd like answered, and because he's not here, I'd like him to defer his report to the next council meeting. I can make
we
a
have
motion.
Yes.
I'll make the motion.
Seconder, Joseph. All in favor? Okay, any questions?
No, we're going for all the reports.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'd like to know, when I read your report, Dan, you had something about snow clear down by the lagoons, like, what were you doing? It said in your, are you doing that with the our machine that picks up all the snow and that? And I thought I didn't know, was that, might have been under the Alex's, but I didn't think so. Or did I have the wrong time? My computer isn't working very well.
I think that was last month's report.
Oh, okay. My iPad isn't working very well. So what you do is you also clean out the lagoon road or what?
Correct.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
They have to do weekly samples.
Oh, okay, okay. I think I got the other two questions from you before the meeting. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I do. Manuel, you talk in your report about the asset management plan. Is it possible for us to set up a meeting, a date for a meeting to talk about levels of service?
We can certainly do that. Do you have a date in mind?
As soon as possible, probably.
Okay, I can email you some dates.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And Dan, you're almost finished the airport renovations.
Yes, we are.
And when do we get to come and look?
As soon as they're all done up, we're just putting the final touches on the furniture that we have.
Is that going to include, and I know I keep asking this, a railing for the stairs?
That will be looked at this spring.
Thank you.
Any other, Joe? I have a question for you. I hear the transit bus is down.
Yes, it was just down for the annual safety.
And how long is it going to be before it's up and running?
I believe it was back today.
Oh, okay. What was the matter with it?
We were adding another bar for the people to get into and the side doors and the safety. The safety has to be done biannually now for all transit buses.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, Dan. Can you explain to me, like, was it last month the machine was down, or is it this month the machine was down? The snow blower.
Snow blower for the airport is down.
Okay, but the one in town is not down at all. It's been going all the time?
Yes.
Okay, I get mixed up with the airport and there. That's good, thanks.
So if there are no other questions, we'll move on to item number 8, new business. And I think the deputy clerk will speak on this.
I will, thank you. So on behalf of Maury O'Neill, our CAO, I'm just going to quickly review her report. So the report is regarding, it's in response to a request received by council from a resident. The purpose of this report is to provide council with an overview of its options under the Fluoridization Act 1990 and the Municipal Act 2001 and the Municipal Elections Act 1996 to consider the removal of fluoride from the municipal drinking water. So there's some background here. Under the Fluoridation Act, municipalities that wish to remove the fluoride from their drinking water supply must follow a similar process that was used when the fluoride was introduced. So in Wawa's case, the fluoride was introduced based on a plebiscite or a referendum in 1985, which appeared on the ballot at that time. Public referendum or plebiscite. Before passing a bylaw to remove fluoride, council may submit to the electors a question that must be worded as follows. Are you in favor of the discontinuance of fluoridation of the public water supply of this municipality? So if council decides that is the question, there's no deviation from it. There's a few ways we can do that. So the main one is through a petition. So upon presentation of a petition requesting that the question under the act be submitted to the electors, the petition must be signed by at least 10% of the electorate, which is approximately 220 people in Wawa. So really, I'm not going to go over the full report because council had an opportunity to review it, but there was several options that were presented. One of the options is that council doesn't need to do anything at all. Another option is that the council may pass a bylaw to direct that staff place the question on the ballot regarding fluoride removal at the next election. Another option is that council shall add a question regarding fluoride removal on the ballot at the next election if a petition containing the signatures of a minimum of 10% of the electorate approximately 220 signatures is received. So in that case, they must, like your council must, you have no choice. That is the preferred option, because it really does give the community an opportunity to voice their opinion. So council has received a request from the local resident to include a referendum on fluoridation during the next municipal election in October 2026. However, a single request does not indicate broader community support for holding a plebiscite or referendum. Given the additional costs and staff resources required for a referendum, it is important to ensure that there is significant public interest before proceeding. It is therefore recommended that council approve the following. Petition requirement that council advise the resident or individual that under the Fluoridation Act, a petition requesting a referendum on fluoridation must be submitted to the clerk. This petition must be signed by at least 10% of the electors in the municipality and submitted before April 2026 for verification by the clerk. So the clerk would go through each signature and verify that that person is eligible to vote in Wawa. So, any questions?
Are there any questions?
So you're saying if we go the petition way, and it can still possibly get on the ballot for 2026, right?
Yes, if you choose the option of going through the petition where the individual comes forward with a petition signed by at least 10% of the electorate, then you have to put it on the ballot. There is no choice. So,
I'm okay with going with the recommendation set out by Maury.
Councillor Hatfield?
I would like to see it go back to the public for a vote.
Mayor Melanie has a question as well.
Okay. Yeah, can you speak?
I think I can speak. Can you hear me?
Yes, you can.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Councillor Hoffman. In full disclosure, I did have an opportunity to meet with the resident that did put this motion forward, or this request forward, and I did encourage him to bring this matter to council for discussion. And since we have had a number of residents request that council look at this, so I am in favor of asking this resident to go out and to move forward with the petition process. I think something that council does have to I think be cognizant of is I think that the opposite side of the equation, I think we might also see education processes for fluoridization in the water. I think we might expect education campaigns as well, which I think is good. I think discussion and education is exactly where this process will probably take us. But this is a democracy after all. So getting this settled once and for all, I think, is exactly where we want to go. And the petition process will trigger a referendum and will be legally bound to put it on the ballot. And we certainly will be doing our job and letting public engagement take its course. But it'll certainly be a hot topic in our community, I think, moving forward.
So we are in agreement with the petition process? Do we have to have a vote on this? No? Recommendation of Maury that we at a regular meeting. Okay. So, and then item number 8, EDO memo.
Thank you. So I submitted a memo to Mayor and Council just regarding the business survey that was conducted in January 2025. So essentially, it ran from January 13th to 31st, 2025. And it was at the recommendation of the Economic Development and Tourism Advisory Committee. So the purpose of the survey that we did was to assess the current economic landscape and identify key challenges affecting local businesses. Particularly, we were interested in knowing about the labor market and if that's impacting businesses in Wawa. And if there's anything that's heavily impacting businesses in Wawa from there, and then also housing and whether or not this was impacting businesses and or the labor market. So we identified businesses that would qualify for the survey essentially based on having at least one employee other than the owner of the business, because we were looking at the labor market so closely. So in doing so, we identified 67 eligible businesses, and we received 20 participants, which is a 30% response rate from what we were able to identify. So we were pleased with that. The results highlight workforce availability and housing accessibility as primary concerns for business growth and stability. So the key findings that we found, we were pleased to see that overall business health is good in Wawa. Businesses are performing well. 65% of respondents had been operating in Wawa for over 15 years. 45% plan to expand in the next 1 to 3 years. 47% expect to hire more employees in 2025 than they did in previous years. And no businesses were reporting any plans to downsize. So we were pleased with that. We did find that a significant challenges that local businesses face is the availability of skilled workers. 76% of businesses reported having difficulty hiring employees in 2024, with 65% citing a lack of skilled candidates and 47% indicating a lack of interest among job seekers. Number 3, housing and workforce impact. So while housing availability and affordability are impacting businesses, the effects were not as severe as we initially expected. Though 35% of businesses did cite that housing availability was a hiring challenge, and 41% reported difficulties due to housing issues. And lastly, we found with respect to immigration and workforce retention, that despite labor shortages that were clear from our results, 65% of businesses had never hired a non-permanent resident. 46% were unfamiliar with the process, but those that were aware of the immigration process, of those that were aware, 65% had hired a non-permanent resident. So we concluded that enhanced education on immigration programs could help address the workforce shortages. Additionally, we had some temporary foreign workers come forward as a result of this survey and identify that they were feeling under-supported by the government-funded settlement programs, and they had specifically requested some services to that. So from all of that, we came up with some recommendations. Number 1, explore resident attraction initiatives to strengthen the local workforce. Number 2, educate businesses on immigration hiring processes and their potential benefits. Number 3, to facilitate the delivery of settlement services to Wawa to support workforce retention as requested. And number 4, to continue to focus on housing development to ensure that the labor force has room to grow. So for next steps, for me specifically in economic development for Wawa, we are actively exploring resident attraction initiatives and ways to promote immigration programming and education on immigration programming to businesses. We partnered with Sioux Career Center to bring a settlement services information session to Wawa today. It happened earlier today downstairs. Had a great turnout. I know we were talking about it a little bit earlier. So that was really positive, and we hope to continue that conversation. Additionally, a steering committee on immigration for the Superior East region is being formulated by Superior East at the request of the Regional Mayors Group. And Wawa will be represented by myself, the EDO. With respect to focusing on housing development, a housing needs assessment for Wawa is currently being conducted by the Northern Policy Institute, and we will take recommendations from there. So, any questions?
Any questions? Councillor Hatfield?
I went to school only in French, so please excuse some, I don't understand. Enhancing education on migration programs could help address, okay. Additionally, temporary foreign workers in Wawa have expressed feeling under-supported by government-funded settlement programs, which impacts workforce retention. What is it that they want the government to do?
So specifically, there are some programs for temporary foreign workers to receive specific settlement services that are being implemented through Ontario. I believe it's the RCIP program is being implemented in Sault Ste. Marie, Thunder Bay, and a bunch of other centers. And there's services that are offered at Sioux Career Center for residents of Sault Ste. Marie. Similarly, like in Thunder Bay, they have the Multicultural Association. There's settlement counselors available there. There's certain programs available for these temporary foreign workers and non-permanent residents to essentially get certain supports in place. We were able, and like I was really pleased to be able to hook some of these people up with Sioux Career Center. So they're actually going to offer some of these services to the people in Wawa. And through the steering committee, I hope we're going to explore the possibility of the RCIP program that's being doled out by the government, the potential of it coming to Wawa, or what that looks like. But the conversation is more open now, so I'm pleased with that.
You based, I'm sorry, Jim.
Yep.
Are you federal or provincial? What the way you work, is it federally or provincially?
I work for the municipality and I'm funded by FedNor.
Okay, so it's all provincial.
Federal. FedNor's federal.
It's federal?
Yeah.
Okay, okay, so everything is federal. Thanks.
Any other questions? Joe? Mayor?
I have no questions on this, but I do have a question on the previous item, if you'll allow, Councillor.
Go for it.
With regards to the previous item, I just wanted to summarize that we are requesting that the petitioner, that the resident that brought this forward, be the person that go out and get the 10% or manage the petition, that the municipality will not be taking this on, is that's how the recommendation is stated. Can you confirm?
I can confirm that. Yes, that's how it's stated.
Okay, I just wanted to summarize that and make sure that that was clear.
Thank you.
Okay, no further questions. We will move on to item number 9. There is no in-camera session. Moving on to number 10, return to item 11, business, no business arising. Item number 12, next meeting date. I see Tuesday, April 1st, and adjournment 7:02 p.m. A mover and a seconder? Councillor Hatfield and Councillor Opato. All in favor? What happened? Come on. Are we ready?
Moved by Councillor Opato, seconded by Councillor Hatfield. Resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting of council scheduled for Tuesday, March 18th, 2025 be approved as presented.
All in favor? Okay. We did the approval of the agenda. Item number 2, disclosure of pecuniary interest. Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 3, approval of the agenda.
Moved by Councillor Cannon, seconded by Councillor Hatfield. Resolved that the following minutes of meetings of council be adopted as presented. Minutes of a regular meeting of council held on Tuesday, March 4th, 2025, as contained on pages 1 to 5, inclusive of the minute book. Minutes of a special meeting of council held on Tuesday, March 11th, 2025, as contained on pages 1 to 2, inclusive of the minute book.
All in favor? Moving on to item number 4, there are no delegations or presentations. Moving on to item number 5, announcements and giving of notice. Councillor Hatfield?
I would really like to be able to publicly thank Sue Lord for 12 years of very hard work. Sue decided that she wanted to go on and try something different, but we're really going to miss her because she was extremely good at what she did. So I'd just like the public to know that we really enjoyed having her.
So where do we go from here? Oh, a question from the mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hoffman. I just wanted to also make an announcement. I echo Councillor Hatfield's sentiment and wish Sue all the best in her new endeavors. I wanted to announce that the municipality has been invited. I received an invitation to Mishpahman First Nations Chief and Council inauguration ceremony. So it's a 2-day event. There will be a lighting of the sacred fire on March 29th and a ceremony on April 1st at Mishpahman First Nation that I will be attending. Luckily enough, that will bring me and leave me in Wawa on April 1st. So I can attend the next council meeting in person. So two good news stories there. So thank you very much.
Okay,
Did you say that our council meeting was April the 1st?
I do believe, yes.
And that supper is April the 1st? For the First Nation?
It's a ceremony throughout the day.
On April 1st. And then, like, we get invited to the supper, and that's not till 6:30 at night, so we won't be able to go this year. Thank you.
Okay. So are you reading these announcements or do we just move forward? Okay. Moving on to item number 6, adoption of minutes.
Moved by Councillor Cannon, seconded by Councillor Hatfield. Resolved that the following minutes of meetings of council be adopted as presented. Minutes of the regular meeting of council held Tuesday, March 4th, 2025 is contained on pages 1 to 5, inclusive of the minute book, and minutes of the special meeting of council held on Tuesday, March 11th, 2025, as contained on pages 1 to 2, inclusive of the minute book.
All in favor? Approved. Item number 7, correspondence.
Did you want me to comment on the correspondence?
Yep.
The first letter, or was a resolution received by the Township of Archipelago, was regarding broadband Canadian First and North America Second. So they're looking for the procurement to be Canadian First and North American Second. The second one was from the Mayor of Brampton, the Stand for Canada campaign. It's requesting the ban of U.S. companies from bidding on Canadian capital projects and to pivot Made in Canada solutions. The third one is from Bradford West Gwillimbury. It's a motion to request landlord and tenant reforms. So it's mostly asking for smaller landlords to be able to have a quicker mediation and to resolve disputes quickly and be able to collect their rents.
Any questions? Okay, move on to item number 8, the consent agenda.
There was no consent agenda this meeting.
Okay, move on to item 9, staff reports and memos.
So sorry, before I read this resolution, just because in the previous meeting, we asked to remove the Community Services and Tourism Department report and defer it to the next meeting. Did you want to remove it or strike it from this resolution as well?
Yes.
Do you need to amend the resolution? I'll read the resolution as amended. So resolved, moved by Councillor Opato, seconded by Councillor Hatfield. Resolved that Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Wawa does hereby receive the following staff reports and memos. Finance Department MB 2025-04, February 2025 monthly report. Protective Services Department KS 2025-03, February 2025 monthly report. Infrastructure Services Department DBCH 2025-03, February 2025 monthly report, CAO 2025-03, request for plebiscite on fluoridation, pardon me, and EDO memo 2025 business survey results.
All in favor? Okay, item number 10, business arising out of previous meeting. There is none, so we'll move on to item number 11, new business, cancellation of council meeting scheduled for May 6, 2025, resolution.
Moved by Councillor Hatfield, seconded by Councillor Opato. Resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Wawa does hereby approve the cancellation of the Committee of the Whole and regular meetings of Council scheduled for May 6, 2025.
Okay, do we, all in favor? Item number 11, new business. Oh, no, we just did that. Item number 12, notice of motion. There is none, so we'll move on to item number 13, bylaws.
Moved by Councillor Hatfield, seconded by Councillor Cannon. Resolved that the following bylaws be introduced and read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed, and that the deputy mayor and deputy clerk do sign and seal the same, any rule of this council to the contrary notwithstanding. Bylaw number 378025, to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held on the 18th day of March 2025. Bylaw number 378125, to appoint a weed inspector for the municipality of Wawa. Pardon me. Bylaw number 378225, to enter into an agreement with the First Nation of Mishpacotton Cultural Association to lease certain lands as described and illustrated in Schedule A of the lease agreement. And bylaw number 378325, to amend zoning bylaw 282115 of the Corporation of the Municipality of Wawa to permit more than one dwelling unit in an upper level stories of buildings in a commercial general C1 zone. And lastly, bylaw 378425, to delegate authority to provide marriage solemnization service to Bruce Perkins.
All in favor? Approved. Item 14, nothing there. Item 15, also nothing. Item number 16, nothing. Item 17, next meeting date, Tuesday, April 1st, 2025. All in favor? No? And adjournment is at 7:12 p.m.
Moved by Councillor Cannon, seconded by Councillor Hatfield. Resolved that the meeting close at 7:12 p.m.
All in favor? Adjourned.
Thank you. Have a great night, everyone.